You're muted again.
Hello, gamers from around the world. This is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, and I would like to welcome you to a very special episode of the World of Gaming because, Dutch, it is showcase season. And you know what that means. That's a gamer's Christmas, that's excitement, that's games, that's news. There's tons to talk about. But first, Dutch, I want to wish a happy Switch 2 day to everyone who got a Switch today. The Switch 2 is out.
Indeed.
And I know our
Congrats to
brothers.
everyone who got their Switch today.
Yeah. I know that Sith Lord in the chat already has his. So, guys, let us know. Did you get a Switch? And before we get into many topics, because we didn't get a Switch on day one, right? But yours should arrive in a few days, right?
Yeah, I'm going to get one through my mobile contract. So I don't have to pay anything up front for a big chunk.
Sweet.
So
yeah,
so I won't pay anything for it technically for the first month, and then only a small amount every month.
Yeah,
hallelujah.
Nice. Okay, guys, let's welcome this awesome community first before we get into topics, and there's plenty to discuss here today. Welcome, guys. To everyone who is already in the chat, a big welcome to everyone who listens after the fact, either here on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you are listening. A big welcome to you guys. And before we get into the show, a little housekeeping here. Of course, during showcase season, there is plenty of stuff to cover. And that's why we will definitely do a post-show Xbox showcase analysis podcast, whatever we want to call that. Right after the Xbox showcase in Outer Worlds 2 Direct, we will go live right here to discuss, of course, everything that will be shown at the Xbox showcase on this Sunday. We will cover that with you guys, of course. So we hope to see
I'm so glad that Xbox is the nicest of the companies and is doing a stream at a normal time.
At normal times, right?
Yeah, I was in bed last night when PlayStation decided to do their state of play, and
it was
Summergamefest is 10 o'clock at night as well, and from what I can see. So.
Summergamefest is, I think, midnight my time.
Woo.
So
yeah, so yeah, I'm going to be asleep at that point. So I'll catch up with it the day after.
The day after. I will do that too for Summergamefest. If Summergamefest is a true surprise, which it probably won't be, but if so, we might do a little surprise, spontaneous Saturday evening cover podcast here. But that really depends on what's going on in our real lives and, of course, how much interesting stuff there is going to be at the Summergamefest. Otherwise, we will cover that on Sunday along with the big Xbox showcase. So we hope to see you guys there. I know we have a BT Maverick, for instance, here in the chat. Yeah, he's driving down to LA to FanFest. There's the community FanFest.
There is.
And then a little birdie told me that there is going to be a video shown at the community FanFest, and even though I might not be there, we might see us at Game Fest after all. So anyway, I'm rambling, Dutch. You need to stop me. Before we get into topics, of course, we always want to start the podcast with the most important thing in gaming, and that are the games that we are playing. So, Dutch, I know you have been busy at work and life this week, but what's on your playlist at the moment?
Yeah, to be honest, I've just been, I mentioned, was it last week or the week before? I don't know when it was the week before last that I'd started playing Hogwarts again on PlayStation. And I'm still playing through that. I'm going to go through for the platinum on Hogwarts Legacy on PlayStation, and I'm enjoying playing through it again. But this week, I don't think I might have played last weekend. I might have played about half an hour's worth, and done like one more quest. But I'm probably about, I'd like to say maybe almost halfway through Hogwarts Legacy again. And this time around, because I know what I'm doing and I know what I'm looking for, and the Revelio and the searching for the moon goblin things and doing all the quests, I'm kind of ticking everything off as I go. And then anything that is kind of left over, I can just mob up at the end.
That's the beauty about replaying games, right? It's just everything is so familiar. You kind of know the mechanics, you know what to look for, and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I still love that game. It's still one of my favorites, and I just hope that the second one lives up to the first. I wouldn't say lives up to expectations, but at least is as good as the first. I'd be happy if it was as good as the first, with just a nice new story and some additional mechanics.
I'm telling you, it's gonna be even better.
Hopefully.
Games like that tend to be better in their sequel.
As long as they don't add some form of games as a service thing on top of it, we should be safe.
I agree.
Also, I'm not really wanting a co-op addition to it.
Just
like Ubisoft
what
do with their games, where it's like, oh, you can bring a co-op person in to do Far Cry. I'm like, why? Why? I understand people might enjoy playing that, but it's ultimately a single-player RPG. I don't want anybody else tagging along.
Absolutely. I mean, that was the beauty of the game, right? They captured that essence of that world, Hogwarts, so well.
Yeah.
And co-op, as fun as it is, don't get me wrong, there are plenty of super fun co-op games. But when you play co-op or multiplayer or games as a service, you're not in for the mood, the atmosphere, and everything, the story. Yeah, that sucks you in when you focus on your own on a game, in a single player game. So I agree with you, man. We don't need that in the sequel. When do you think the sequel is going to show up? I mean, Hogwarts has been now 3 years, right?
It has, but then they did the Switch version, then they worked on an updated version for the PlayStation 5 Pro, and then the Switch 2 enhancement one.
Yeah.
So it depends on what amount of the team was working on the ports. And of course, then they did the backwards compatible ones. So they did the ones for the previous gen.
Yeah, right. Those
the one
came
in the PS4.
Out eventually. Yeah.
So I'm probably thinking 27, 28.
Could be.
It's been a couple of years.
Could be. Yeah, my guess would be as well, at least 27. I agree. I think 26 would be too early. Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Guys, let us know in the chat what you guys have been playing. So Dutch, I also didn't play that much this week, but I played over the weekend a lot. Of Doom: The Dark Ages. I think I'm almost at the end. One more chapter to go. I'm still really enjoying it, although I must admit that towards the end, how do I phrase that without sounding negative, too negative? It gets a little repetitive. No, you're always fighting the same types of enemies, and so, but still, it's just pure fun. I love the shield mechanics in Doom Eternal. It's just something different in a Doom game, right? The parrying that comes along with it, it's just pure fun. What I miss a little bit and preferred more in Eternal was that Eternal forced you to really rotate through your weapon set. Right? Remember, there you were constantly switching in between, I don't know, the shotgun and your LMG and everything. And you really had to rotate more or less through your weapons and use everything. And in Doom Eternal, I tend to use 2 weapons, and that's it. Even though there are tons of, from rocket launcher to everything, yeah, is in there, but I tend to only use 2 weapons. And that combined with the fact that you are always fighting the same type of enemy, no matter which level you are in, feels a little repetitive, but overall, I'm still having a blast. It's a fantastic game. It's beautiful. It's flawless. I haven't encountered a single bug, and it's perfect, man. That's fantastic. And I did travel earlier this week a bit, and Dutch, with all the excitement around The Witcher, and we'll get deeply into The Witcher today. Of course, I did it. Yes, I booted up The Witcher 3 again and started to play it on the LE.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Doesn't surprise me at all. You're a Witcher addict.
I am. And whenever there's Witcher news, I get this itch, it tickles, and then I just boot up The Witcher. All right, let's see, what has the community been playing, man. BT Maverick finished Doom: The Dark Ages and Ori and the Blind Forest, and he's now playing Steam demos like Neo and others. Sweet. Dustin Lambert finished all the achievements in Expedition 33 and South of Midnight. Doom is his next game. Oh man, Expedition 33.
Nice.
I absolutely.
I know. Stu finished Doom as well.
Sweet. I mean, it's not too long. Yeah, I just didn't have as much gaming time over the last weekend than I would have liked to have. So I'll be finishing that. Again, I think it's 1 or 2 chapters that are left. So an hour or 2 and I should be done with Doom. Yeah, man. Good stuff here. All right, Dutch. Let's see. What has the community voted as today's gameplay? The community has voted for the Expedition 33. Interesting. I thought people would vote The Witcher today because of the excitement. So
nice.
To
be fair, I've done exactly the same thing.
Playing The Witcher?
No, I've got Expedition 33 gameplay on.
Ah, that's good stuff. All right, there we go. Good. Dutch, let us talk about. Let's get straight into it because we have only big news this week to cover. So let's get directly to the state of play. You and me both. We didn't watch it live. I caught up and watched it.
State of Multiplat.
Savage. So I watched it this morning, man. I'm a bit torn here, Dutch. On the one hand, I should keep my expectations in check because, yes, it's a state of play. We know state of plays don't provide the big bangers. They don't include a shitload of surprises and are usually filled with 1 or 2 of the the exclusives and indies and some Japanese games and 1 or 2 third-party games. So I should keep my expectations in check. I know that. But then if you air a state of play in the middle of showcase season, right? In between the big Witcher Unreal event, I call it the Witcher Showcase because that's basically what that was, right? In between the Witcher Showcase, the Summergamefest, and the Xbox Showcase, and the IO Interactive Showcase, which I think it's tonight somewhere, right? you air a state of play. If that state of play would have been in April or early May, or if it would have been in July, we would probably think different of it, right? But if you do something like that in the middle of showcase season, and everyone knows you're just doing it so that you have actually any news that people talk about, and you don't leave the big excitement to Unreal Engine and to Xbox and to Jeff Keighley, right? You would bring something big to the table.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you feel about it before we talk about some of the games that they have shown.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of the moment when they started changing it to state of play and did away with showcases is the moment you kind of always keep your expectations low. There was some good games, don't get us wrong, but I don't. Much like the Xbox showcase, you don't watch the Xbox showcase to see what's coming out on PlayStation. You don't now you do, but in the past you don't. You watch the Nintendo showcase to see what's coming out specifically on Nintendo, and you'd want to watch the PlayStation showcases or state of plays to see what PlayStation are making. But it isn't. It literally is just. It was a third-party showcase. There was one game that was made by PlayStation Studios, and that was the Marvel fighting game.
Yeah.
And that was that was second party.
Was kind of in there as well.
Yeah, kind of.
But
that was already announced.
And it wasn't shown. Really, it was just a teaser that there is a...
Yeah. There's another showcase, like a state of play with Ghost of Yotei on it. And, so yeah, it's... I honestly don't know. It's went past the point now of worrying about Sony not producing first-party games, because it is horrific, the state of Sony's first-party at this point.
Yeah.
And nobody seems to be mentioning it. None of the actual big news sites are really going, what is going on at PlayStation first-party studios?
On the contrary, they praise the exclusive lineup. Not mentioning that most of the exclusives are actually second-party deals, third-party exclusive deals, right?
There's only two games on there that were there was only two real games that were on there last night that were exclusive or timed exclusive.
Kind of exclusive, yeah. And it is, but I've seen just earlier this week, I think it was IGN, I've seen an article on while scrolling through Twitter, paraphrasing now, of course, the amazing lineup of PlayStation 5, right, with tons of exclusives coming, Death Stranding 2, Marathon, Ghost of Yotei, and now Marvel fighting, and that was the sentiment of the whole article, and I was like, what are we even talking about here? None of them are, outside of Ghost of Yotei, are like first party exclusives, which they seem to be so excited for, right? So it's Ghost of Yotei. The rest are second, third party deals, and I agree with you. Marathon is coming out on Xbox, and of course you could argue now, people probably will do that and say, well, Xbox doesn't have exclusives either, which is right. That's not what I mean. But Xbox is putting out first-party content left and right.
Games,
yeah. That's the difference.
That's the key. That's the real key that we're kind of getting at. Yeah.
But like you said, the media isn't talking about it. On the contrary, they are still praising the amazing lineup of the PlayStation, and I'm very sorry I don't see it. I mean, if you're excited for Death Stranding 2, which is an exclusive, temporary exclusive, but I mean, let's be real. The last Death Stranding took 5 years to come to Xbox, 4
I
years,
did.
5 years.
I personally think he would preferred now that it goes multi-plat as soon as possible, but unfortunately, of course, contractual obligations means that he can't.
Yeah.
He's already said it himself. Obviously, he owns the rights to Death Stranding now, so it is his IP. It's not Sony's IP anymore.
But he has signed a contract. He took a bag of money, and at the end of the day, people are not going to play that game outside of the PlayStation ecosystem for a while.
Correct.
Because Sony isn't
At
only
least
having
12
games for 3 months or 6 months or something. Yeah, it's not like the, I don't know, Indiana Jones situation where the game comes like 4 months after launch to other platforms. That's not gonna happen. So I get it, but man, I couldn't care less about Death Stranding. Then I look at Marathon. I mean, we talked about that last podcast. Yeah, it's Concord 2. You could also call it Concord 2. Then we talk about Marvel's The Fighting Game. It did absolutely nothing for me.
Yeah.
So Ghost of Yotei, that's the one. That's the one game I'm looking forward to. I give him that. I'm gonna play that day one. I'm excited, really excited for that one. Loved the first one. Ghost of Tsushima was fantastic. But that's about it. And I don't even know if there's a first-party game coming to PlayStation next year that I'm excited about. We don't know when.
Not that's been announced.
We don't know when Wolverine will come. After the massive leak last year, I highly doubt that this is going to come out in 26. That's 27 game. An Intergalactic. I'd highly doubt that this is going to come out in 26. And that's the only 2 games that are announced so far. So I agree with you, and I don't get the media for not picking up on that, especially if Xbox...
It's not like it's just this showcase either. It's like we've been talking about it for what feels like years now. Like, what is going on with Sony's first party? And there's still, like a year and a half later, at least, nothing's being said. Like, no one's going to Sony like they would pester Xbox and saying, like, what is going on at your studios and why aren't you, like, why is there nothing being mentioned? Like, it's in a mess. Like, the output of your first party is horrific. So what is the deal? What is the deal? And the one when they do get these people on their podcasts, these Sony specific shows, they really don't push them enough.
Yeah.
The only one that's pushed anybody that was at PlayStation recently was when he had when what's his face thought that the old God of War creator had Yoshi on his podcast recently.
Jeffy.
Yeah.
David Jeffy.
And he was pushing him about the kind of treatment of previous Sony staff and things like that, and the way that they went out and so on and so forth. And he said, "Yeah, I know they didn't treat some of them well. They treated me okay, but they didn't treat most like some others well at all." And so there's something not right there. There's something really not right, and I think more people need to really start kind of going at them. Otherwise, they won't improve. It's all well and good the fans having it, but the media need to get on their back as well. Otherwise, they won't improve. And let's face it, they would, if it was the other way around, and Xbox had no first-party games or no worthy Xbox first-party games for like 2-3 years, and they were relying on exclusive agreements for second-party and
Xbox
games that did,
in that case,
they would get absolutely tortured, and they did get tortured.
Rightfully
and if
so.
Xbox had if Xbox's last generation was amazing, and they rested on their laurels, because that's all the PlayStation 5's done this gen, is just rest on the laurels of the tail end of the PlayStation 4 generation when they had big hit after big hit after big hit. And they just thought, oh yeah, we've done well here, so now or we can just put our feet up.
I agree. It shows, especially now towards the middle and end of this gen, that the pipeline is simply dry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
But
get
the
in.
games.
Let's go. Yeah. Do. Let's talk about some of the games.
Let's talk about the big one. The biggest and bestest one. Final Fantasy Tactics.
Ah, I thought you mentioned 007. Nah.
Final Fantasy Tactics. Come on.
Final Fantasy
you know it.
Tactics was the
We know
biggest
it.
and best for you. Honestly,
You know it. We all know it. That one.
No.
You know what won that for me though is the fact that was multiplat to everything day one.
Yeah.
That was it. That was proof enough to me that Square Enix are in fact going the route that they said they were going, and going forward, things will be multiplat.
Yeah. Definitely. I never played Final Fantasy Tactics, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
it's one of the fan favorites. I think you'd like it when it comes out. And considering it's on everything, Steam, Switch, Xbox, PlayStation.
And it is apparently play anywhere.
If you get it is. Xbox. Yeah. It is, yes. Most Square games are, believe it or not, strangely. Even the Pixel remaster is.
Pixel remaster? I'm thinking right now.
Visions of Mana is.
Visions of Mana is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one that comes to mind. But
Pixel remaster, it's the most recent one. Sure. The most recent ones.
Yeah.
They all have been, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It should be standard. It should be standard play anywhere for everything. Yeah. So what made you so excited? Sell me on Final Fantasy Tactics. I have never played it, so the nostalgia obviously doesn't hit. If I look at it, I'm not 100% convinced of the gameplay loop, which is kind of different than the turn-based strategy game that Final Fantasy used to be. So what made it so exciting for you, man?
It was one of the old school stories and characters. It's one of the ones that people grew up on, especially in the old Game Boy days. That's when I played it. Final Fantasy Tactics when it was on the Game Boy. I forgot which one it was now. But yeah, it was just it is one of those nostalgic stories that you will like when you get into it. It isn't, of course, the same gameplay loop, but it is the typical Final Fantasy story that you come to expect from one of the classic lineups. So you will enjoy it. It's more of a XCOM-y type.
Okay.
Or what was the other one? The Mario Rabbids type fucking tactical thing.
Type.
Yeah. It's like that style, of course. And I think it was one of the first ones they'd done as well in that vein. But no, it does look fantastic. And again, it's just more of an up-res and a shiny new coat on the original. But it's great to see it come back and hit modern systems and everybody be able to play it as opposed to just the handhelds, because they were always restricted to the handhelds. I don't think they were on consoles at that point per se. I think it was on PSP and the DS or something when it first came out. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, but yeah, it obviously it wasn't. I was just mainly for me, it wasn't the thing of the show, but it was definitely the biggest surprise of the show to see Tactics there. I mean, it gives me hope. That Final Fantasy IX remake, remaster, whatever they do, is also on its way.
I mean, that's the one game that did get leaked up front, right? The blocking master Jason Schreier. He spoiled that up front. But yeah, if you don't have any nostalgia for the game, just from what they've shown, it didn't do much for me. So maybe when it's on sale or when it comes to Game Pass, but that's nothing that really got me excited. my personal highlight was 007. I really do enjoy IO Interactive as a developer, and I was a little concerned about the 007 game that they basically slapped the 007 brand on the Hitman formula.
That's what it makes. It kind of my. It is still my concern that it is ultimately just going to be Hitman, but with a 007 skin.
But I really didn't get that vibe at all. Not a single bit. It reminded me of games like Uncharted. It reminded me of games like Max Payne. It was very story-driven trailer, of course. There were snippets of gameplay in there. Yeah. Action sequences, shooting, stealth segments. It's got it all. And it kind of looked to me as, the linear story-driven action game. Maybe we see more, or we will definitely see more at the IO Interactive Showcase, which is a first, by the way, and also very interesting that they are doing one. It's I mean, Bond itself looked like, that a very young boy. But everything else really looked promising to me. It's beautiful. It's story driven. It's got the typical Bond humor. It's got the little gameplay segments we've seen didn't scream to me, yeah, this is Hitman, and nothing against Hitman. But if you do another Hitman game, do a Hitman 4. Yeah, and not slap the Bond name on it. And I really don't think that they did that. I didn't get that at all. So I really enjoyed that. It's a 26 game, right? Called 007 First Light. It's an origin story. How young Bond become a 00 agent. I'm excited for that. What did you think, man?
Yeah, like I say, it looks interesting. And although you might not have those concerns naturally, I think after they've been making an assassin game for so long, there will always be a little bit of a concern, even if it looks like story-wise they have something there, that the game feels like Hitman when you play it. It might not look like it in previews, etc., but for instance, playing like Hitman as opposed to playing like Bond, that would be the only concern. Like you say, they could have just done a skin over the top and etc. But yeah, that's my only concern with it. My only concern. But we'll see a little bit more because they've got their own showcase and they'll dive into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Later on tonight. So we'll probably have footage to have a look at tomorrow and when we get out of bed and finish work, etc. To be able to see what Hitman actually looks like and additional gameplay, etc. of it and see how different it is. Because I think on that same showcase they're showing off Hitman or a new Hitman as well as Bond. So we'll see how different those two are from each other tomorrow. But no, it was good to see it eventually come to light because we all knew IOI Interactive were making a Bond.
Yeah.
So great to see they eventually showed it off, and hopefully people enjoy it when it comes out. And like you say, it's next year. So yeah, good.
Yeah, absolutely. What else did caught your attention during the State of Play?
Good to see Silent Hill F has a release date.
Yeah, September 25th.
Yep. Another September game, but yeah, good to see Silent Hill F has that release date. It's a new Silent Hill, not a remake, not a remaster. It's a whole new one. So that's everywhere again. So at least everyone can play it. Unlike Silent Hill 2. So yeah, that one also caught the eye. What do you think of that?
Do you think it's gonna be on the quality level of what Silent Hill used to be?
It's hard to know. I don't think so. I don't think. The way Kojima was going with PT was what I would hope Silent Hill to be, which is meant to be terrifying. It's meant to scare you. It's meant to unnerve you.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like Silent Hill F or Silent Hill 2 Remake or any of those had the same impact that I think Kojima's version of Silent Hills would have been, because he was going for more of a psychological horror that was like, it unnerved you and also scared the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Which is why people are still now are scrounging around for PlayStation 4s with PT on, because people really love what Kojima created with PT. So, no, I don't think it will have the same feeling. Will it be a great game? Possibly. But will it be the same feeling of traditional Silent Hill? No, because Silent Hill was always based around an area called Silent Hill, which was originally based on an area in America called Centralia.
Yeah.
So there was a reason for Silent Hill originally. Silent Hill, as the area and the game, was based around an actual place in America that had a mining accident, and it set fire to the place. And even now, the mines are on fire, and and everybody abandoned the place. So that's where the thought process for Silent Hill come from, because that's, if you go look at Silent Hill, that was the same thing. Silent Hill F isn't that, and it's straight away from that. So I think no, it doesn't have the same origin, and it's not the same characters, and I don't think it'll have the same feel. And we're looking forward to seeing what they do with it. Yes. Is it going to be a day one buy for me? No. That'll be on sale to see if it's any good, or watch a couple of reviews, or watch somebody playing it to see if it's any good. Yeah, it's one of those. It's a tricky situation.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sold either. It kind of feels like a cheap version of a Resident Evil 4, you know?
Yeah.
Really not what made Silent Hill 1 so famous. So I'm not sold 100% yet. Similar like you, I'm gonna wait for reviews on that one, and especially see what people that actually play it think. Then decide. What I really enjoyed though was Pragmata, coming next year.
Yes.
Also coming to everything.
Eventually. That one disappeared off the face of the planet for like a couple of years.
I want to say,
when was it announced?
2021? Maybe was it 21? Even that could be.
I think it might be as far back as 21.
Maybe someone in the chat knows. But yeah, that looked fantastic, man. I like the vibe of the little AI girl, that kind of develops emotions. I like what we've seen from the combat. I like the visuals, the tone, the setting. That's really what I'm looking forward to. What were your thoughts, man?
Yeah, again, great to see it reappear after disappearing off the face of the planet, because we didn't hear any. It wasn't like we heard bad news about it. We just didn't hear any news about it.
Yeah.
It was just, it got showed off. Everyone was like, "Oh, that looks really cool," and then nothing.
Yeah.
And then just radio silence for like years, and then just whoop, there it is again. Oh, thank God it's alive, and is releasing in 2026. So, yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to Pragmata. It's very strange, but again, it does remind it. It immediately, when I saw it, immediately reminded me of sort of like a Kojima work.
Yeah.
When I saw it, and I thought it kind of is strange, like the Kojima game. So we'll see what it what entails. But no, it looks interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that's about.
There were also, interestingly, 2 VR games in there. After me already thinking that PlayStation VR is basically that. They had Thief VR and
Yeah,
Lumen's Arise.
yeah.
Nothing that would get me to buy one, but
Especially now we know it's
interesting.
dead.
Yeah, it is. De facto,
Let's face
it's
it, it is
dead.
dead.
It is absolutely. Astrobot will be getting new levels.
Yes, it is. I still haven't picked that up because I've got a thing about paying $50-$60 for a platformer.
Worth it. Astrobot is a really good one.
I wouldn't do it for Crash Bandicoot. I won't do it for Astrobot. I'm gonna wait for that thing. Like it's on sale. It's on sale at the moment, reduced to 50, and I'm like, nah, still wouldn't. I'm gonna wait until I can get it for like $30 or less.
I really enjoyed Astrobot. It was.
Oh, I
really
know I will enjoy it as well. I know I will enjoy it as well. But for a platformer, nope. I have my monetary limits.
I see.
Which is also why I didn't buy Crash Bandicoot 4. It's About Time when it came out, because that was like $50 or something at the time as well. And I was like, nope. And now it's coming to Game Pass, so I don't have to worry about buying that now.
Yeah. Coming this month to Game Pass.
Yep.
True. Ghost of Yotei was only shown with a cinematic trailer. And it was announced that there is a dedicated gameplay show thing. Don't want to call it showcase, but a dedicated direct or whatever for Ghost of Yotei in July. I would have thought that if you do a state of play in the middle of showcase season, you would put in the heavyweights in a state of play. You would show Ghost of Yotei, you would show Death Stranding 2, which wasn't there at all. There was no marathon in there. I would have loved to see Ghost of Yotei. And it would have definitely behooved the show to have it properly in there. I don't know. What do you think? Why didn't they put any of the heavy hitters in there?
Death Stranding is out in a couple of days, is it not?
Yes.
Yeah. So yes, they could have put that in, but they chose not to. Marathon, I don't think that's a heavy hitter.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, it might have been before people tried it and played it and it didn't do well.
Yeah.
But I think now everyone's fully aware that needs a lot of work. I think that one's going back a little bit to the drawing board. I'm not even sure that'll make it out this year.
You think they delayed it? You think so?
I honestly think so. I think the feedback they've had from people, much like they did with Concord,
it would be wise to do that.
Yeah.
But the question
if they want that thing to actually survive, unlike Concord, they need to delay it. They need to put new content in. They need to put new maps in. They need to get
supposed to launch with only 4 maps, right?
Yeah, exactly. They need to get a roadmap sorted for that game and have it there at launch. Okay, you're starting with 8 levels, not 4. Yep. This is our roadmap for the next year. On launch, 2 months after, we've got this. 2 months after that, we've got this. 2 months after that, we've got this. Like, it needs to be something in place, or it will just do exactly what Concord did. And I think from what people have played, Marathon plays well, but the problem is the lack of content. And people have already noted that in the previews. They're like, yeah, plays well, but it's just another shooter. There's nothing that makes it stand out from the rest. So I think it needs to be delayed if they want that thing to work at all. and not sync. So aside from the ones that we've seen, and of course, Ghost of Yota is getting its own state of play-ish type thing later on in the year, July. There isn't anything else they can show. Okay, they could have potentially shown off Wolverine, but it's clearly not ready.
Absolutely not.
So they're not going to show that, and they've got nothing else to show.
I mean,
Nothing's
they've
ready.
shown Marvel's fighting Marvel
Yeah,
Fighting Souls, but I don't know. It didn't do anything for me.
that's just
But
like Streets of Rage. It's an indie game.
yeah,
That's it. I guess. You know what I mean? And
people
then
are
they, but
praising
not
it,
only that,
man.
not only did they announce that fighting game, then to go along with this indie fighting game, super expensive fight stick from PlayStation for an indie game. I mean, but we're halfway through the generation now. They've decided to make themselves a fight stick for a console that'll be going out in a couple of years' time, and all the other fighting games have already come and gone. You've already had a new Street Fighter. You've already had a new Tekken. You've already had a new Mortal Kombat. You've like so now you're going to bring out a fight stick, and they've got nothing else. They've literally got nothing else to show. It is from a first party perspective. It's just very worrying from PlayStation. Like it's not even like they're trying to hide it anymore. In the past, if they didn't have anything to show, the one thing they used to do is at least show the logo. Like even when they first announced God of War, before God of War got fully unveiled, they showed the logo, and it was the same for Uncharted or the same for The Last of Us. Like if it wasn't even fully announceable yet, they would say and they'd show the logo to say at least this is what we're working on. But like Sony Santa Monica have been dead quiet since Ragnarok. Dead quiet since Ragnarok. Nothing, not a peep.
I mean, they apparently
And they've got two teams.
They got two teams, and Cory Barlog didn't work on God of War Ragnarok, right?
No,
Yes,
because he was working on his own game.
Sci-fi game, apparently.
What is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, overall, with the first party situation, I mean, what would we expect? They had 12 games as a service titles in the works that are for the very most part now cancelled. So they wasted all those years working on games like Concord, like Last of Us Factions, right? Like the Spider-Man games as a service title. Bend was working for 5 years on a games as a service title that has now been cancelled. All those studios could have put out games by now. They decided to force them into a games as a service route. It didn't turn out, and now those studios have to start from scratch with something new. And we know how long first party development or AAA development takes these days. Yeah. It's at least a 5-year cycle. In most cases, 6-7 years.
Yeah.
So Bend will not be ready to put out a game before 2030, right? So yeah, they put themselves in a corner with that strategy of focusing everything on games as a service and then not being able to release any of those games as a service titles. And so it'll take years to get the pipeline up and running again.
Yeah.
And in all those years, a lot will happen. You know, it's not even a question. We know the industry is changing constantly. If you look at the last 15, 20 years, there's always something happening in the game industry that just changes things, changes the landscape. Yeah. the latest being Xbox not doing exclusive anymore. Game Pass was a game changer for the industry. Cloud gaming came along, right? PC handhelds are changing the market right now. And it is just what it is, and we don't know where in 5 years console gaming in general will stand, right? And this is just the problem for PlayStation now. They are still doing well because they have the market share and they have the word to mouth and thing in their favor. Yeah. But it's gonna be a question when next gen starts, right? When people start to rethink, okay, did I do the right thing to choose PlayStation as my primary gaming library? When I could build up a Steam library that I can also play on an Xbox console. Or I can play my Xbox library also on a PC or my handheld and so on. And they have the lineup there. And then you start to think about an investment of, let's be real, the next gen consoles will be in the ballpark of €800 or $800. Both of them, Xbox and PlayStation. And then you start to think, hey, where do I put my money down for the next 6 to 8 years? And the library thing is, of course, no, it's hard for people to leave their libraries behind. Yeah, that's why I'm not saying the next PlayStation is doomed, because leaving your library behind is tough. But things will change, and we don't know where the industry trends will go. And it will be hard to get a new generation. What is currently now Gen Z. I don't even know what comes after Gen Z. The generation after Gen Z, yeah, Gen Next or whatever. When those
Gen 360.
That's what
Gen Box One.
That's what we cannot allow Microsoft to name the generations. But the thing is, yeah, where will those people decide to start and build their library, right? And if you don't have a proper pipeline to support it, you can only rest on your laurels for so long. So it'll be very interesting to see, man. It'll be very, very interesting to see. Anything you want to talk about from the state of play? I mean, we covered the big ones. There were a couple of smaller ones in there. Romeo is a Dead Man. Bloodstained was in there. Digimon, Storytime. Tides of Tomorrow. Sea of Remnants. Sword of Sea. There have been a couple of more games in there, but none of those. Maybe Bloodstained.
Romeo's Dead looks interesting.
Yeah.
Romeo's Dead looks interesting. The others, yeah. Digimon. No, I'm not. Never been a Digimon fan. Yeah. I'm a Pokemon boy. So no, Digimon was never my bag.
All right.
But no, Romeo's Dead looks interesting. That's a cool art style and another hack and slasher. But no, it looks cool.
Yeah.
That was about it. Yeah. It was overall, the showcase was okay.
Again, if this would have been in May, if this would have been in July, we would probably talk different about it. But putting such a showcase in the middle of this super exciting showcase season,
I mean, it can only go up.
Can only go up from there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Summergamefest is around the corner. Any expectations from that?
I mean, I think Summergamefest has to be better than that. Has to be. I wouldn't be surprised if PlayStation had some announcements there. A lot of people are thinking as well that Xbox will have will get some of their PlayStation announcements out the way of there, but I disagree because Xbox have said themselves going forwards, they at the Xbox showcase they will make crystal clear what is going to be multi-plat and what isn't. So any games that will be going to PlayStation date that are on the Xbox showcase this month, i.e., this weekend, I think will also have the PlayStation logo on it if it is going to PlayStation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't think they're going to save anything for Summer Game Fest. I think if they're going to announce anything for PlayStation that is new, they will literally just tell you on the Xbox showcase that it's coming out on PlayStation.
Yeah, I agree.
The only things that I think might be at Summer Game Fest that won't be at the Xbox showcase is if they announce Starfield going to PlayStation. I think they'll give that to Jeff. I don't think that's a big enough thing for them to announce on their own show. I don't think they'll care about that, to be honest.
I agree.
And it also gives them a place to show that off. Like they give Indiana Jones to Jeff last time.
I mean, it kind of makes sense for them to announce games coming to PlayStation or Nintendo Switch, for that matter, that are already out. If the game is yet to come out on Xbox, you would just announce it at the Xbox show, and then, of course, tell people. I agree there that they will that we will see PlayStation logos in that Xbox showcase this Sunday.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely. But games that are out, your likes of Starfield or whatever, Forza Motorsport or so.
Yeah,
they will bring that stuff to PlayStation. You wouldn't put that in your Xbox showcase. You wouldn't put in Starfield just to announce, hey, Starfield is now coming to PlayStation. That's a Keighley thing. I agree.
But Keighley stuff, I mean, there's probably quite a few studios that we know Ubisoft aren't doing a show this year.
Yeah.
So if they've got a singular game to show off, which is what I probably think they will have, like one game, you wouldn't do a showcase if you've only got one thing to show.
Which one?
I mean, which one of the 9,500, 3,049 million Assassin's Creed ones are we going to show off?
None of them.
Heretic. No. We'll show off Heretic.
I don't think so. Heretic is the mobile one, right?
No, that was that a Jade or Emerald?
Jade is already out.
Was that not the mobile one?
The mobile one. There is another mobile one coming, and I think that was Heretic. But maybe someone in the
was
chat
Heretic not the smaller one that they were doing that was based on like witchcraft and whatnot?
No, that's the next big one that they are doing, and it's not called Heretic. It's called Hexen.
Oh, Hexen, that's the one. Hexen. Yeah.
You know, Hexe is German and
means
witch. That's the next big one. The successor to Shadows. And I don't think that they will show anything Assassin's Creed. Listen, they've teased Metal Gear. Damn it, dude. Splinter Cell, thank you.
I think that's a Fugazi. I think that's imaginary. I don't think that actually exists.
No. I think it absolutely exists. They have just teased it. They've posted the Sam Fisher face, and then a Sam Fisher face from the old game, and they had this little eye emoji above it, and that was the official account. So Sam Fisher in Splinter Cell Remake, I can definitely see that. It will be either at Xbox Showcase or the Summer Game Fest, and I think that's a Keighley thing. I know that Ubisoft kind of had a deal with Xbox back in the days with with Splinter Cell, so it could also potentially be on the Xbox show if they show the remake. But since it's not like back in the days where they did, Xbox doesn't do many advertisement deals these days. So I think that could be at the Keighley show from Ubisoft. I could also see them announce a new Far Cry, but I kind of feel if they would have a banger like Far Cry ready to show, or let alone the Beyond Good and Evil 2 game that apparently is still in the making. I don't know. After 8 years or whatnot, they would do their own show again. I would say Let's Dance and Splinter Cell at the Keighley from Ubisoft.
Yeah.
I also see, what do you think? I see a lot of clips lately from Battlefield 6 on social.
Yeah, possibly Battlefield. But then they've also got all of their sports games to announce again.
Yeah.
They've also got the Maddens and they've got the FIFAs and
they will do that
whatever
in a segment, the new FIFA or what's it now called, Football Club, Madden and so on.
FC 26.
And then they don't have their own thing, EA. So they kind of have to rely either on Jeff or the Xbox showcase to show Battlefield 6. And since Xbox already has Call of Duty, and we will see Call of Duty at the Xbox showcase, and that's their biggest competitor for Battlefield 6, I doubt that they will put it on the same stage. And that's why I think we will see a Battlefield 6 official reveal at Jeff's show.
Yeah, absolutely. You're never seeing Battlefield on Xbox's show anymore. Not now that they own Call of Duty, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. What else do you expect at Jeff's show?
It's hard to tell. It is really hard to tell.
It's way harder to predict a Summer Game Fest than an Xbox showcase.
Yeah.
Because at the Summer Game Fest, they will show, I don't know, like out of the 2 hours, 30 minutes are for
adverts.
Another 30 minutes for mobile games. And then
we're going to see a lot of, I know what you will see is a lot of indie games. You're going to see a lot of indie games because Jack does put a lot of indie games on his show, which is good. So you will see a lot of indie games. I think you'll have more big hitters this year than you did last year. I don't think you had that many big hitters last year. But I think there's a lot of third parties will be going to him for their announcements this time round.
See, there are plenty of bigger third-party games, like Crimson Desert.
Yeah.
It's supposed to come out. Does it already have a date? I have November in my head. But let me Google that real quick. Crimson Desert release date. Late. It's late 2025. So they need to actually really announce a proper release date.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the late Crimson Desert. So I think that's gonna be there. There are games like Gothic Remake supposed to come out this year, and they've kept posting these developer diaries, and it looks fantastic. And they reassure in every developer diary that the game is coming this year. That's something you kind of have to put on Jeff's stage then, right?
Yeah.
Because I doubt that
I think Luke in your chat's got a good point as well. Resident Evil 9.
I don't think we see Resident Evil 9 this year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I doubt it.
Why?
Because I think they need a year or two longer than they did for Resident Evil 7 and 8, because they will change the formula. 7 was the first Resident Evil in first person perspective, and with that they kind of changed the formula from 4, 5, 6. They were all third person over the shoulder, while 1 and 2, and let alone 3, were more like also over the shoulder, but one was with camera angles and very different. 4 was then new, and then 5 and 6 they kind of followed in the same formula, and with 7 they had something new, and I think they will have another formula for 9, and I think they need a year longer, at least a year longer in development because of that. And so I doubt that we will see Resident Evil 9 this year. I hope I'm wrong.
Yes.
I hope I'm wrong.
I guess we'll wait and see.
We have to wait and see, right? What about Square being there, or Nintendo?
I think Nintendo might have
released the Switch today.
They did. They might have a couple of little bits, but I don't think they'll have loads. I think they'll have their own Treehouse Live soonish, and I say soonish, maybe it's July, August, where they'll kind of announce some bits and bobs.
They kind of have to. I feel like the Switch 2 reveal, the Switch 2 launch was the most muted launch ever.
I think it was on social media, but judging by the videos and photos I've seen of people queuing up to buy them, I think physically it was a pretty decent launch. I just think social media-wise, it didn't have much of a digital presence as a lot of launches have been.
Anywhere. That's the thing. Of course, the Switch 2 is too big to fail. It's not like...
Yeah, it is.
It will sell. Trouble. It's going to sell. Yeah. But it's not sold out. At least not here in Germany. I don't know about the UK. I can go online and pre-order right now.
No, I don't think absolutely not. No, you can still buy one. Yeah.
Yeah, you can definitely buy one. And either Nintendo is super good in logistics and has the Switch 2 on stock like crazy. But if you remember any of the previous launches of consoles, Xbox Series consoles and PlayStation 5, yeah, I know they were launched in the middle of the pandemic and so on, but usually a console is sold out in the first 2 months everywhere, and that's definitely not the case. There is more or less no talk on social media channels, and I mean, you and I both, we are in the die-hard gaming bubble, and there are, now today I've seen a couple of people post, I got my Switch, and I'm happy for them, don't get me wrong, but it's not like everyone is going crazy, yeah, the Switch is here, and there's nothing else people talk about, which usually would happen if you launch a console. They had this one Treehouse, or what they called it, like 2 months ago when they announced the thing, and ever since there was nothing, absolutely nothing announced. There's Mario and that's Mario Kart, and that's it out there. I feel it's a very muted launch, and so it's kind of hard to imagine that Nintendo is going through this showcase season without announcing anything for their brand new console.
Yeah, I agree. It is one of the quieter launches for the Nintendo Switch 2, that's for sure. 100%. But I think it's one of, as you mentioned, though, it's just, I think Nintendo is just too big to fail. Especially when it is, I think it helps them a little bit that it's a better iteration of something that was already extremely successful, where it feels like more of a better refined experience, where they're like, okay, you like the Nintendo Switch, great. Here's the Nintendo Switch again, but this time you've got a much better screen. It's significantly more powerful. We're going to have significantly better third-party support this time around. Like the most of your games that you could play on your Switch 1 are now performing and looking better on the Switch 2. And of course, we've got better Joy-Cons now that are doing X, Y, and Z, and the kickstands on it's better. So it's more of it's refined, but it's better, more improved enough so that more people would invest in it, because third-party support is going to be significantly better this time around, and we've seen that already. How much? I mean, on the kind of Switch 2 showcase when they announced the release date, etc., just how much of that was third-party support and not just first-party. And I think that's what, unlike any other brand, Nintendo had a reason to show off third-party support. Whereas with others, we'd complain if it was all third party. Like if Xbox had a showcase and it was all third party, we'd be like, what is going on?
Yeah,
but if Nintendo does it, we're like, actually, this makes sense, because you want to be able to see what big AAA companies can do on that handheld. Like, is it actually held back, or are they going to be able to do something that is pretty impressive? Because Nintendo games aren't graphically demanding. Yes, technically the likes of Zelda, etc., was impressive because, of course, of all of these moving parts and moving pieces and all these
on
kind
that
of
hardware.
mechanics.
That hardware, it was impressive.
Exactly. Yeah. But graphically, there's nothing on Nintendo that Nintendo make that anybody on any other platform would shout about. In fact, it's like we laughed at a few times, but you can run literal mobile games better than you can on the Nintendo Switch 1. And you could probably play Nintendo Switch games better on mobile than you could on the Switch 1. So it was in their best interest to showcase what that thing can do with third party, to kind of say, this gen, we're going to be more supported by the big guy.
That's why I think the Nintendo stuff we'll see at Jeff's show, at the Summergamefest, is third-party games that come to the Switch too. We'll see plenty of announcements, not just from Xbox, but from all kinds of third-party developers announcing games now coming to Switch too. I think that will be the Switch segment at Jeff Keighley, because I doubt that they will give, I don't know, the next Mario reveal to Jeff. You know what I mean? Or the next Zelda reveal or whatever. So yeah, man.
You're going to see some third-party stuff. I don't think you'll see it from Square, though. I think because Square's already had the announcement that Remake is going to Switch 2, but it didn't have the release date, I think Xbox will have Final Fantasy Remake announcement on their show with the release date that will cover Nintendo Switch 2. Not Rebirth, just Remake.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it is.
We've heard that so many times. I mean,
Final Fantasy, you've got to think of it now. There was exclusivity. It went to PC. That was kind of outside of the console realms of things. But now we know that Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to Nintendo, which is technically a competitor. PC isn't for PlayStation to a point.
But I think Nintendo is considered not as a direct competitor from Sony.
I mean, I don't think it's again to Square now. I don't think they care, and with Final Fantasy Tactics specifically as well showing up as multiplat on PlayStation. With
Tactics, they didn't have the weird contracts in place. I think there is just something super weird with the contract in between Square and Sony with when it comes to exclusivity of the Final Fantasy Remake trilogy. And that's why we haven't seen it.
I don't think so, because the Square themselves have said that they want that game everywhere now.
Yeah, they want that. And then there is something in place. And I'm telling you, if we don't see it this year, the showcase...
Oh, yeah, then it's never happening. I agree.
It's never happening,
but I think
doubt we will see it.
I personally think that's the only reason that Nintendo didn't have the release date of Remake on Switch 2 was because it was also going to Xbox. And that announcement, because we know Xbox's strategy now is anything that's going elsewhere will also kind of be shown on Xbox as going elsewhere. So I think on the Xbox showcase, it will say out on such and such on Xbox and Nintendo Switch on this date. And that's just Remake, not Rebirth. I think Rebirth, we've still got another couple of years until we see that on Xbox. And likewise, whenever the third part of the trilogy comes out, it'll be another couple of years after that you'll see that on Xbox as well. It's going to be a significant wait.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, even if Remake comes now to Xbox, that is 6 or 7 years after its launch.
Yeah.
Will it do massive numbers? Will it be a success? Will it reinvigorate the Final Fantasy love?
Oh, absolutely not. But it'll what it will do is just give Square a little bit of extra coin, because it's not going to be hard to port Final Fantasy VII Remake onto the series.
It's not hard. Not hard.
It's
not
like
after...
free money. Even if it only makes a couple of 100,000, that's still a couple of 100,000 more than they had. And it doesn't cost them that much to port it over. So
I agree. But yeah, I kind of doubt that we will see that happening, because I think Sony has a super weird contract in place, and they didn't consider Nintendo as their direct competitor. They do that with Xbox, and that's why they allowed it on the Switch, and they do not allow it on Xbox, and we will not see that. Just my gut feeling, no inside knowledge. But yeah, Dutch, let's move away from Summer Game Fest and let's talk about. I need to put that on screen. I need to put on screen what we are going to talk about now. And that's The Witcher 4. The Witcher 4.
Yeah.
At Unreal. Or what is
Tech demo?
Tech demo. No, State of Unreal. State of Unreal is a yearly event, and there are usually interesting things. I like State of Unreal, especially if you're interested in how modern rendering technology works. They always present that in a understandable and pragmatic kind of way of what's new with Unreal, and I usually like those showcases. But honestly, of course, it's no secret, The Witcher 4 is absolutely my most anticipated game. And this year they've chosen to show a tech demo. Yeah, that looked very much like gameplay coming out of the game. I mean, they said it's not from the segment we've seen, is not directly from the game, but it uses the assets, it uses the technology, it's a tech demo. But a tech demo with story elements in it, a tech demo with gameplay snippets in there. We didn't see any combat, but we've seen Ciri walking, horseback riding, talking to NPCs, and so on. So we got a good glimpse of what The Witcher will look like, and it was super impressive to see that this was captured on a base PS5 at 60 FPS, which is pretty impressive. They have full global illumination, global lumen, ray tracing in there, right? Which is impressive to see on a console, let alone the base console, run at 60 FPS. The density of the world, the detail of the world, tech that they have shown, the lighting, the water rendering, they heavily focus on the new nanite foliage technology. It's a very different way in how to render, leaves and trees and your foliage looked very impressive, very, very impressive. Usually, most games use kind of, different triangles for leaves, and then make part of the triangles transparent when they slap the texture as an overlay, which is also kind of cost heavy. Yeah, it's a very different way to render foliage that they have shown, and it looks phenomenal. But what impressed me the most are two things. The first is the atmosphere, because when they decided to switch over from their own proprietary engine, the Red Engine, to Unreal, I thought, and I mean, look at Cyberpunk, look at The Witcher 3. We've just watched some gameplay from Witcher 3 before I switched to the presentation that they gave on Unreal, on Witcher 4. Witcher 3 is 10 years old now.
Yeah.
A 10-year-old game that still looks this impressive. This is just showing how technically advanced the Red Engine was. And Cyberpunk, still one of the best looking games of this gen. And it came out like a month after this gen launched. Or 2 weeks after the gen launched, right? And it's also now 5 years old. And it's still one of the best looking games. So Red Engine was a powerhouse engine. And when they decided to switch to Unreal, I was a little worried, because the few Unreal open world games we've seen, they not only had their issues technically, they all kind of had that Unreal look to it. And I don't want the Unreal look in my Witcher game. I don't.
Yeah.
I want them to keep their art style. I want it to feel and look like the Witcher games, the previous Witcher games. And I think they nailed that. You can tell from this tech demo, it doesn't look like your typical Unreal game. They kept the art style, they kept the atmosphere, but it looks absolutely impressive. From water rendering to foliage to skyboxes to facial animations, it is absolutely impressive that this kind of quality runs at 60 FPS on a base PlayStation 5. And before people, because I've seen people online who are bragging, it'll look and run the exact same way on the Xbox. Yeah. I just think it was very impressive. I have so much more to say, Dutch, but what were your thoughts?
Yes. Much like a lot of other tech demos, however, I'm a little bit more restrained. As much as it looks fantastic, and the technology that they've used to showcase this is fantastic, it is very much a vertical slice of not something that is actually in the game. And it is just to showcase what they're doing using the engine for the purposes of Unreal's demonstration. So it looks great, but that doesn't take into account multiple AI on screen at the same time, or crowd animations, or any other kind of magic physics, or the weather constraints, changing weather, day and night cycles, other forms of AI, combat simulations. It doesn't take into effect so many things that will affect the, should we say, the resolution, the fidelity, and the performance of that game when it does come out. So as much as I think it's very pretty now, I think it's great to see what Unreal Engine can do, but we also know what Unreal Engine bottlenecks in, and has bottlenecked in, and has had issues with this time round. And as you've mentioned rightfully as well, nobody's really used Unreal Engine to do a big open world game like The Witcher, which is why Unreal was so proud to get The Witcher to use Unreal for their project instead of Red Engine going forward.
Absolutely.
Because they want to try and get into that. So we've, as much as it looks fantastic, we have to take it with a big pinch of salt, because I don't think it will launch at the same quality.
I've seen that, and people always bring up Watch Dogs when they bring up that argument. Be aware that
Even the original Witcher 3 launch, and then also we've got to be wary of the original Cyberpunk launch.
yeah, but Cyberpunk and Witcher 3, for that matter, was not the problem of it being kind of downgraded from what they've shown. It was more or less that it was a buggy mess. Cyberpunk was a buggy
and that
mess.
is, well, that's what I'm also saying though, and I think, but in order to get these games running initially, they had to downgrade some of their things in order to get that thing to run, and that's not necessarily from a visual aspect, but potentially from an AI aspect or from a mechanical aspect. They had to go, okay, we'll have to wind this down a bit. And then later on in the gen, as we know with Cyberpunk, for instance, not only did it take multiple patches to get it where they originally promised it to be, but it required them ditching a previous console that they shouldn't have produced on it in the first place in order to go, right, okay, now we can focus on putting in some mechanics that we should have really had in the first place because we were holding ourselves back from this previous one. So it was more technical limitations and saying, okay, we can do X, Y, and Z, and having the technical limitations to come out, and probably with the crowd density and things that they would be, keeping a solid 60, or saying this is going to have ray trace global illumination on the PlayStation 5 with this crowd density, and when with all of this fighting and so on and so forth, it's probably a little unrealistic.
I mean, I give you that, the fact that this, since it was a tech demo, it was highly curated, and it's a very different thing to design such a limited tech demo than to design this absolutely massive open world. You know, it'll be bigger than the world of Witcher 3. It will be a massive open world game, and not every area gets the same attention like this tech demo did get. That is for sure. And yes, depending on where they decide to launch, on which systems they decide to launch The Witcher 4, you will see your tidbits here and there. But I think after what happened with Cyberpunk, they know that they need to nail The Witcher 4, and they are aware that if they put out such a tech demo, that they set up expectations, and they wouldn't have emphasized it like that this is actually running in real time on a PlayStation 5 if they wouldn't feel confident to deliver something like they have shown. We are in a different age now, and we had these examples. I just mentioned the Watchdog thing. Okay. I hope. Okay, I hope I'm back.
Hello. Yes, I managed to just talk
I'm back.
Very briefly. Talk very briefly. Now I can see you and your stream's up and running again. Good.
Yeah, stream is running again. I'm very sorry. The internet went down for a second.
We're back.
We're back. We are back. So,
but yes, in terms of the tech demo, you were saying.
I was saying. I don't even know what I was saying when the internet crapped out. I was talking about.
You said you think they were confident. Because they were.
Yeah, they are confident because they are aware. They are very much aware that gamers have been disappointed many times by them with Cyberpunk. They have been disappointed with other publishers and shit that happened. And if you emphasize that strongly, hey, this is running on a base PlayStation with 60 FPS and ray trace global illumination and all the good stuff.
Do you not think it also, at the same time, though, as much as it might come across as confidence, be a little bit naive to put themselves in a position to say, this is running on this and this is running on this? And basically people will, some, not all, because people like me and people like Luke will sit there and go, but it's still a tech demo, so I'm still going to reserve judgment for when the real thing comes out, and we'll see what it looks like then.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side, because this, like you said, the confidence saying this is running on a PlayStation 5, you know for a fact that people will use this footage and say, this is what it looked like in the tech demo. Now you're showing us this. It's a downgrade. You know that's what's going to happen. And that's why I think it's just a little naive for CDPR to say that and kind of not show that confidence, but it's kind of putting a rake out in front of themselves when they didn't need to say, okay, listen, this is just a tech demo. Like, this is what the engine's capable of. This is not representative of the full game. This is just to showcase what this engine can do and a brief kind of idea as to what we're aiming to achieve. What we're aiming to achieve would have been better than this is running with ray tracing 60 frames a second on a PlayStation. You're like, you're like, oh,
I have my hopes.
You set yourself up to fail.
No, I have my hopes up that CD Projekt Red learned their lesson not to overpromise something and then underdeliver like they did with Cyberpunk. Not that Cyberpunk was a bad game, don't get me wrong, but technically it launched with bugs. It didn't deliver what they've originally shown, and it was not so much the visuals, but they have shown this super promising intelligent police system, for instance, yeah, which then wasn't in the game, stuff like that, and they've disappointed. And Cyberpunk did do well eventually, but if it would have launched in the state it was supposed to launch in, dude, that game would have sold so many million of more copies than it did. And for that matter, I think they learned their lesson and they are not going to do an over-promising on The Witcher 4 again. I doubt that. And that's why, yes, I mean, it will look different.
Agree.
Things will look different.
To an extent. Yeah, I agree to an extent, but I think it's still better to under-promise and over-deliver than it is to over-promise and under-deliver. Which is my only thing is, I still think they should not have mentioned what it was running on, because I think as a tech demo, it's irrelevant.
I agree, but because they chose to emphasize that, I think they are confident that they can achieve that kind of visual fidelity on consoles.
Oh yeah, but I just mean now the fact that they've said this is running with ray tracing at 60 on PlayStation 5, I think the combination of all those things, not that they can't get the fidelity, because I believe they can get the fidelity, but the combination of all of those things running at locked 60 on PlayStation, I think is something that could trip them up if that is not achieved come Witcher 4 launch. If that launches, for instance, and they go, okay, fidelity mode's at 30 and performance mode's at 60, they'll be like, that's not what you said at the tech demo. Me and you.
Well, they didn't say that there won't be a fidelity mode at 30. They didn't say that. They just said that this is what we see now is running at 60. And that
with ray
tracing. Performance mode with ray tracing.
Yeah. So we don't, again, that could be the fidelity mode, but again, it's putting things in the way themselves that could trip them up in the future.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think that's the only thing that I think is lesson not
I
learned.
agree. If they don't deliver that kind of fidelity now on consoles, they set themselves up for disappointment again and for controversy again. And I agree, it's dangerous.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
my
wonder
only
what they
concern with them.
why they thought this is a benefit to tell people that, because the game is still out.
Years away.
Is it many years? Let's speculate in a second. Let me finish my point first. It's still quite a bit away, and telling people now, yeah, this is the console version. This is how the console version looks. Yeah. What benefit do they have from that? They could have shown something on a 5090 with even more visual fidelity. Yeah, easily they could have done that, and everyone would be okay with that in a tech demo at the state of Unreal. But the fact that they decided to, hey, it's important for us that people know we can achieve something like that on consoles, they thought that this is important. And I wonder why. I really don't know. But yeah, we shall see, man. When do you think it's going to come out? You said years away. Give us a better
I
estimate.
think it's years away, and that's only because, and I don't mean that because I think the game's miles from being finished. I think it's just that going to be that big of a game that is just a lot of content to put in it that needs to be completed. And by that I mean more different story aspects. A lot of the, not the voiceover work per se, but there's going to be a lot of voiceover work done. We know that from previous Witcher.
Yeah.
We know the content levels that they put into these games. Like they're not your standard games in terms of the stories and the narratives that CD Projekt Red create. They are fantastic, which is why I don't think they'll rush the game either. From a visual standpoint and from a performance standpoint and things like that, I don't think that's what's going to take the time. I think the world crafting and the quest crafting and things like that is something that is going to take the time, and the set pieces and the moments that you come to expect from CDPR now.
Yeah.
I just think that's what pushes it back a couple of years. I think it's just the enormity of the project. Yes, it is also their first UE5 project after moving from Red. So I would rather they also took more time to make sure that it was refined, because it is a switch of engine. And yes, Unreal is the easier engine out of Red and Unreal to work with, but these devs, for the most part, have been used to creating on Red Engine, not on Unreal, which is the opposite for most of the industry. So, and obviously we know it's the same for Halo in this instance. They've moved away from creating on the Slipspace engine, and now they're on Unreal.
I think there's a difference between Halo
there is.
and The Witcher, because the Halo team already got a good part of the team got laid off. They have to hire new people, and the new people are trained.
Absolutely. I think the difference, but at the same time, both the issues you need for both of them to resolve almost immediately is, when I pick up The Witcher on Unreal, I want it to feel like The Witcher.
Yeah.
Not that it was different. I wanted to feel like I'm playing The Witcher that was created on Red Engine, but looks like it was built in Unreal. But I needed to feel like it was played in the Red Engine, because that's how The Witcher played. That's how it felt. It felt good. It felt brutal.
Yeah.
You needed to play like that, much like when Halo goes on to onto Unreal from Slipspace. When you pick up the controller and you play Halo on Unreal, you need Halo to feel like Halo, and that's kind of my point from both of them. And I think that's both of them have to get that aspect of it right as well. Does this still feel like Witcher, and does this still feel like Halo? So there's a couple of things that they need to do on their end, but I think ultimately it's more the world crafting that's going to take the longest on Witcher 4.
I agree with almost everything you've said. I have two different train of thoughts about the launch date. The first being, it's already been 5 years since we had Cyberpunk. And I know about the expansion, and I know about the bug fixing things, and so on. Nonetheless, it's been 5 years. There were 5 years in between The Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk. And they did two massive expansions for The Witcher 3. And they also did a lot of bug fixing and next-gen console versions and this and that, a Switch port and everything for The Witcher 3. And it's still... And now they have multiple teams now. I know that. Yeah. But they regularly post how many people are working on which project, and it was just released 2 weeks ago that the very vast majority of the team is now working, of course, on The Witcher 4. More than 400 people. I think it was 420 people or something. Above 400 people working on The Witcher 4 now. And the game is in full production for a year already. Yeah, the pre-production phase, where you roll out the story plan, where you figure out the gameplay mechanics, and so on. It's already done. The game is in full production. They are building out the world. They're recording the audio. This is what they are doing right now with full force. More than 400 people working on that. So, considering all of that, I don't think it's like 3-4 years away. 26 might be too early, I agree, but I think 27 could be a very realistic thing. Because, for two reasons. In 28, latest, we start talking about next gen. And they want to...
I think 2 is going to be on next gen, and we know that they've just started full production on Cyberpunk 2.
Exactly. They started full production on Cyberpunk. No, that's not in full production yet. That's still in pre-development.
Well, pre-production. Yes, sorry. They've started pre-production.
Yeah. On Cyberpunk 2, with a small team. I think it was around 40 or 50 people, which they've said. So 28 is PlayStation 6. We talk about 27 for next-gen Xbox. I feel like they kind of want to avoid what they did with Cyberpunk, where they launched it basically as a launch title for the current gen consoles, and that's the hardware that was the target hardware, and then they brought it still to Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and had a buggy mess because those machines were simply not able to handle the game. They kind of want to avoid that. But they also heavily emphasize, hey, this is PlayStation 5. So they still, I think it's a late this gen game. It's not like Cyberpunk was a hard cross-gen game or launch window game of next gen. I think this is a full-fledged this gen game. And that's why it's kind of needs to come out in 27. On the other hand, I see the point. They will make absolutely sure that this is not going to launch in the state like Cyberpunk did, with bugs and so on. So if the game's not ready, it's not gonna come out. The game, this time, they will definitely put a lot more focus on quality assurance than last time. But 27 would make like a 7-year development cycle, and I think that's not unrealistic for a CD Projekt Red game. And So yeah, my bet would be this is a 27 game.
Yeah, 27 or 28.
Maybe it's just
28.
me not wanting to wait another 3 years till 28, but I doubt it's gonna be
I
28.
know. I know. As much as
Anyway,
I don't either, my thing is these days I'd rather wait and the game come out in its best state than hoping it comes out sooner just because I want to play it.
Yeah. All right.
And I've got so much to play now as well, so that's
yeah, that's
not enough time.
It doesn't matter which year you release it in. There's always stuff to play. So, Dutch, let us move away from The Witcher 4 and let's talk about the big showcase this Sunday. The Xbox showcase. It's kind of different this year, right? They don't have the on-site event. I know that the awesome community organized their community fan fest, but there's nothing official going on from Xbox with the theater showing and fan fest around it and everything. There's also not a second Xbox showcase. Usually 2 days after the big Xbox showcase, they have the follow-up thing with developer interviews. That's also not announced for this year, and I doubt that they will announce that short term. If that would be a thing, they would have announced it by now. So it's a kind of a different setting. Nonetheless, the excitement, I don't know about you, but on my end is high because especially the last 2 years, the last 3 years, Xbox absolutely nailed their showcases. Last year was phenomenal with PSE Day and all the good stuff in there, right? State of Decay 3 was revealed last year, got me super excited, and so on. It was an absolute perfect dark. It was an absolute blast. The year before that, also absolutely phenomenal with a good look at Fable and everything, and Clockwork and all that good stuff. So my expectations are obviously high for this year. And I don't know about you, your excitement level, if it's similar, but that's definitely the reason why we need to talk about this now. What do we expect to see? How are you feeling, man?
Yeah, I mean, again, they've got an abundance of games that we need updates on. So I expect no less than a boatload of games that we haven't seen for a while. Some release dates of games that we know of.
Yeah,
maybe it's an official release date for Fable. Official release date.
Yep.
We know it's coming out in an area next spring, March or something. Is it? Or I don't know, but we don't have a date.
If Fable is there, I would say we will get a date.
Yeah.
I also think Fable could not be there because they will put that in the developer direct in January. You know that.
Possibly.
That's a safe bet. Come on.
But we also have Clockwork. We also have Contraband. We also have State of Decay 3. We also have.
Pace yourself. Let's talk about this. Okay.
Yeah.
So Fable, you think it's gonna be there?
Possibly. And maybe you say yes, they could talk about it in January, and that's probably very likely because that's going to be one of the opening games of the year for them. But they could show it. They could show more of a lengthy gameplay segment on there to showcase maybe more of the combat or something.
They kind of need to do that now. If they show Fable again, they cannot have an in-engine
whimsical thing again.
Yeah. So Fable, you say yes. I'm putting down notes here, bro. We are going to talk about this Sunday after the show. Who got it right? So you say yes, I say no. I don't think that Fable is going to be at the show this year.
Okay. Clockwork Revolution
Yes.
and release date.
And release window.
Yep.
Yeah. I think.
It has
How
to be.
long
It
has
was
it?
so
How
far
long
along
has it
last
been
time.
since Wasteland 3?
Oh,
5
that's like the
years?
beginning of the gen.
Yeah, it was round about plus minus 5 years now.
Yeah.
They've shown Clockwork 2 years ago. It wasn't at the showcase last year, right? So I think it's definitely time to show that again. And it already looked very far along in development when they've shown it 2 years ago. So yeah, I'm with you, man. It's time to see more Clockwork.
Yep.
All right, you
100%.
mentioned Contraband. How are we feeling about
Yeah.
Contraband?
I don't have a feeling towards it, but they've only shown a title screen, so I think they need to show it now.
I say no. I don't think that game is. We will ever see that game again. It's just one of those games that died off silent. There's not gonna be an announcement. Oh, we canceled it. It's just
No, I think it's not even Xbox that would have announced it. I think Avalanche would have.
Yeah, I don't think either of them will ever mention that game again. We will just not hear anything about it.
I don't know.
So you're saying we see Contraband?
I think there's a very good possibility you'll see Contraband.
I mean, it would make sense if the game is still a thing. It would make sense to show it this year and release it before, with a good distance towards GTA. Because after GTA 6, and especially with GTA 6 Online coming, there is no room for another heist-based game.
Not next year anyway.
Yeah, not. That's why they need to release it with a good distance. I mean, like 3 months distance at least before. And GTA 6 is what, May next year? That means February latest.
Yeah.
Maybe even this year. I mean, compared to Xbox's first half of the year 2025, where they've released at least one banger a month. Yeah. From the Ninja Gaiden 2 surprise to Avowed to South of Midnight to.
And we've got Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out the end of this year as well.
Yeah. But this, what I was meant to say is the second half feels relatively light compared to the first half. Because for the second half we know about Call of Duty, even though it's not been officially announced yet, but it'll be there at the showcase, no doubt. And Outer Worlds 2. Those are the two. And then you got Ninja Gaiden. Well, not an Xbox game. I know it's coming Game Pass day one. But yeah, that's about it. And that would be plenty of games and enough for a second half. But if you just compare the density of game releases in the first half, the second half feels relatively light, which is crazy to say with 3 games coming, right? 3 big games coming. So I could see them squeeze in a game like a Contraband into that second half. But I don't think this game exists anymore. It's been too long, man. That was 21 when they've shown that. And when they've shown that CGI teaser logo trailer, they said, hey, we already have been working for more than 3 years with Avalanche on that game. And then you see another 4 years later, you don't see that game. You haven't heard anything after 7 years of development. I think there's just something to this, and we are not going to see that.
Yeah.
But you say yes. I put you down as a yes. I say no.
Yeah.
All right, all right. What else do you
Blade gameplay.
Blade? Blade is a good one. I agree. I agree. I think it's time to see Blade. Maybe with another cinematic trailer that runs in engine.
I don't think that'll cut it. I don't think that'll cut it. I think they have to show. If they show it, they have to show gameplay.
Since the first initial reveal at the Game Awards 23 was a real CGI trailer, they could get away with an in-engine trailer.
The problem with Xbox, you know as well as I do, Xbox cannot get away with showing anything that's CGI. Even if it's an engine, all they get is first look at Marvel's Blade.
Yeah, but they've got
an engine,
they've
not
gotten
gameplay.
away with that with other Fable. Look at Fable.
Yeah, but they still had the cover. You know what happened the first time they showed Fable off. And they said this is gameplay, and everybody was like, "That's not gameplay," and the whole rigmarole on.
And to be fair, the reason why these Xbox showcases over the last couple of years have been so good is that usually they. And I'm back.
Hello, and you're back again.
Damn it! What is it today with the damn internet? I don't know.
What game were we talking about?
I'm very sorry. And we haven't picked a new one yet.
We were talking about Blade, then we were talking about what else?
Blade was the last one. So what else? Perfect Dark.
Perfect Dark, yes, that's what I was going to say. Yes.
Perfect Dark.
Yeah, and they mentioned at the end of the last time they showed Perfect Dark that they would have more information as it progressed. So I expect them to show a little bit more of Perfect Dark off again.
Yeah, I agree. And I will also say that they will announce it for 26. Not with a proper date, but they will give the release window for 26.
Yep. Yeah, like a window. I agree.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will see more gameplay, different kind of gameplay. Last time, they've heavily focused on the parkour and the gunplay. I think we will see.
I liked the story hint at the end of it though, which made it look a little bit more. Should we say like sci-fi thriller? Like The Expanse, going into this like weird area and something happening type thing at the end of the Perfect Dark trailer. I kind of hope they go more down the story kind of gameplay stuff to kind of get a better understanding of what's going on in the story in this Perfect Dark.
Okay.
Aside from that,
story and stealth, that we'll see. What about Gears? Gears E-Day.
No.
I'm gonna go with
yes. I'm gonna go with no. I think Gears they're gonna leave till next year.
Really?
Yep.
Really? Actually, I was at this point where I would have put it even as my opening game. That they open up with Gears. But I've changed my mind on that. But we'll get to opening and closing later. But I think it's gonna be there, and I think it's gonna actually close the show. Damn it! Am I gone now again, or is that you this time? Something very weird is going on with the internet today. I think I'm still live, but Dutch is gone. Damn it. Damn it. Oh, all right, guys. Very sorry for the inconvenience there. He is back.
No, I'm not. I'm using my phone.
I can't see that. The camera is shaky. Blue screen. You gotta. Damn. Dude, today we are not on a good technical side of things for the
No.
podcast.
No.
Damn it. My internet is acting up. Your PC crashed to blue screen. All right. Dutch. Gears. You say no, I say yes. All right. We got that. State of Decay 3.
Yes, State of Decay 3. I think State of Decay 3 will come out. I think it will be there. I think it will have a release trailer. Yeah, I think it will give, and by release trailer, I mean gameplay with the release window.
Yes, I agree. And I'm telling you, dude, it's gonna be closer than we think.
Yeah, I think it could be this year.
Yeah, it could be this year or very early next year. I'm gonna put it down as a December release. It's gonna be their Indiana Jones, and just for the fact because State of Decay is gonna be not this one and done game. You know, it's one of their trying to avoid games as a service games, because I would not describe State of Decay 2 as a games as a service game, but an ongoing game. And State of Decay 3 is also going to be an ongoing game. There's not this hard, okay, I'm done with it kind of thing. And that's perfect for the Christmas break and the winter break, and where everyone has plenty of time and no new releases are going to distract you from it. And State of Decay has been teasing stuff, dude. They have been posting these cryptic images with weird ass lettering, and they have been teasing stuff. Yeah, so State of Decay 3, I'm gonna put that down as a Christmas game, December game this year.
Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout.
And I cannot wait, man. Big fan of State of Decay 2. Big fan. I love that game. It was one of the State of Decay 2 was one of these games where, okay, I'm just gonna go out, gonna raid one more house, go back to my base, and then finish up. And then I look at the clock. It was 2 a.m. I hated myself the next morning at work, but the next evening I did the same thing all over again. And it is just such an addictive formula. And State of Decay 3 looked phenomenal from what we've seen so far. It's gonna be one of these super addictive games. So
yeah.
That's that. What else? I mean, so far we have covered games that have already been announced. We have
Forza
seen
Horizon 6.
Forza Horizon 6 is going to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And its release date, of course, September. It's the usual release window.
Would make sense. It kind of would make sense. It also will be a day one launch on PlayStation. They have the Forza Horizon hype on PlayStation now. They just carry on with it by releasing Forza Horizon 6 months after they brought it to PlayStation. And alone with that, we've said Clockwork or Contraband. We didn't say Clockwork, but Contraband, maybe if it exists this year. Right? State of Decay, maybe this year. And suddenly the second half is already getting crowded again. Yeah. But I agree. I think Forza Horizon 6 will be there. Because if not, it would be next year, and that would put Fable and Forza in the same year, but with Fable out of the way this year, I think it's Horizon 6. It's gonna be there. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What about Everwild?
Yes, 100%. It will be there. Mainly because the studio have said that we'll see updates this year.
Yeah. They literally
So
said that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if we get a release window, it'll be for next year. I don't think it'll be this anytime this year.
Yeah. No, it's not this year. This year game,
No.
but we'll see it this year. And
Yeah,
of course, because they literally said they have more to show us this year. Yeah, and if not at the Xbox showcase, where would they show it? It's not that they are
yeah,
gonna randomly drop a new trailer out of the blue somewhere later this year. So
yeah,
I mean, Call of Duty, we don't even put that down on the list, is going to be there. Agreed.
yeah, yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Oh, wait, one more point about Everwild. What do you think this game is going to be?
Before I answer that, I've got my computer up and running, so I'm going to quickly switch into my camera
You
again.
do that. Then you know what? I'm just going to tell what I think it's going to be.
Okay.
All right. We switched. You're back, but you muted. Okay. I'm just going to talk about Everwild. I think originally we heard that this is going to be Zelda-esque game. And I still think this is going to be it. It's not going to be exactly like Zelda, but that kind of formula. Because a lot of people expect that to be Sea of Thieves in a different setting. And I doubt that this is that. Rare is
No, but it will be a social game like Sea of Thieves.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think so.
So what do you think this is going to be?
I can understand your thoughts about a Zelda-ish game, but I think it's definitely going to be more of a co-op Zelda-ish game.
Dude, you gotta get closer to the mic.
Hello.
Yeah, much better.
I don't know why. It's very quiet.
Yeah.
I have no idea. It's definitely the right thing now, so I don't know why it's doing that. Automatically adjust volume. I'll put my volume up to this. Is that better? Is my volume better now? Good. I've just increased it to 200 instead of automatic. Yeah, I think it is. I think it could be a Zelda-ish game, but I think they definitely want a more social experience. And I think that's what they've grown to love with the Sea of Thieves thing. It's not going to be this as big as Sea of Thieves, i.e. it's not going to be this massively open world MMO like Sea of Thieves is, where there's like many instances and they all come together in one thing. I think this will be more along the lines of 2, 3, 4 player potential co-op. You can play it single player or you can have your friends in it. But I think it's going to be this social kind of game where you can go on and play with friends and find the hidden mysteries and explore the dungeons and all of this mystic stuff and with all these animals and whatnot. So yeah, I think it's going to be different. It's going to be in their unique art style as we've seen already. It's going to be whimsical. But I think where people think it's going to be like Sea of Thieves, I can understand why they might think that. And I also think that to an extent, but only on the social aspect of it. Not so much it's going to be big and open world and combat-y. But in that they want people to experience it together and they want people to kind of have the experience of finding and exploring and with friends, coming across these creatures that they haven't seen before and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's I don't think everybody knows really what to expect from Everwild. We just know that it's going to be something unique.
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, let's see. Let's find out. We both have it down as a yes, and so we should be able to talk about this more on Sunday then. What about Double Fine?
Yeah, you would expect them to have shown something by now. It's been a few years since then.
So I'm gonna put you down as a yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Was it that was 21, right?
Yeah.
Psychonauts 2. That's 4 years. It's a long time for such a relatively small studio. And I feel like it's not gonna come out this year. We will see what they are working on. And it's not gonna be Psychonauts 3. It's gonna be a new IP.
Yeah. It will be a new IP, yeah. Yeah, I think they said they were taking a break from Psychonauts anyway after the last one to do something new. Obviously, they'd had not only Psychonauts 1, but they'd had Psychonauts 1, they did a VR Psychonauts, and then Psychonauts 2, and something else Psychonauts as well in between that. So they had like 3 or 4 Psychonauts projects.
Yeah.
So we are expecting something new from them, but they're very creative. So I'm expecting good things, whatever they come up with. And they have been working quite a while on this new project as well. So we shall see. But that'll be a new IP to see. So we'll see what that's all about.
Yeah, I agree. What about the big one, Elder Scrolls 6?
Nope.
You have that down as a no. Care
Solid
to
no.
elaborate? Why don't you think they are going to show it?
Nope. Too far out.
Too far out?
Far too far
out. I agree that it's far out.
Yeah.
Is it too far out to show? Because I mean, Todd Howard said, yes, we have shown it or teased it too early. Yeah, that was 2017, I want to say. So around about 8 years.
Yeah.
They've said, okay, it was too early. But then Starfield has been out now for 2 years, right? The game is already for a good year in full production. Pre-development phase is done. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say we will see something from Elder Scrolls 6. They want them. They want us to know that this is a thing, because the Elder Scrolls is getting a lot of hype this year with Oblivion, and they want to know that want everyone to know that there's something good coming. We will probably not see a gameplay demo or something, but we will see in-engine montage kind of trailer thing. I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes.
Nah. Nope.
What else? Machine Games. We gonna see something from Machine Games?
No.
I think so too. I know people are talking about Machine Games having 2 teams now, and Wolfenstein 3 being the other team's game. But Indiana Jones just came out, and I doubt that they have something ready to show just yet. So no
nope,
machine.
I agree.
No Machine Games.
Nope.
It just released Doom.
Yep. So no id.
No id. I agree. No it game. What about Zenimax Online?
Yeah, possibly. I'd still say possibly, because we don't know really the status of that.
I mean, they could show something for Elder Scrolls Online, and they
Yeah.
probably will. They always have Fallout 76, and they always have Elder Scrolls Online, new DLC, new expansion in there. But the game we are talking about is the new IP that they are working on. ZeniMax Online has been working what feels like almost a decade. I want to say it was 2016 also when they posted on LinkedIn that they are working on a new IP and a new game, and we haven't seen it. And we haven't seen something new from ZeniMax Online ever since their existence, because they've released one game, and that is Elder Scrolls Online, and it's more than a decade old now. And I feel like ZeniMax Online, I'm gonna put that down as a yes. I'm gonna put you down as a
Yes.
yes.
But it won't be ZeniMax. It'll be ZeniMax Online. It will be nothing to do with Elder Scrolls. It'll be nothing to
No,
do
we are
with
talking about the ZeniMax Online new
new game.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that's time. What else from Bethesda could we see?
I don't think anything else.
Yeah, I'm. What about new Starfield DLC?
Nah. Nope.
I'm gonna say yes, and even more so. We talked about this earlier for Summer Game Fest. You said maybe they announced at the Summer Game Fest that it's coming to PlayStation. I'm gonna tell you something else. What they do? They announced the new DLC, and with the new DLC being the last one, the last DLC, they announced something like a complete edition. You know, with both expansions, and they announced that for PlayStation as well.
But isn't the Ultimate Edition including both expansions?
No, it didn't even include the first one. You had to buy the
It did.
first one. Yeah.
Yeah, Shattered Space came with it.
I had to pay separately for Shattered Space.
Yeah, the Ultimate Edition got you Shattered Space.
I'm sticking with this, dude. I'm sticking with this. It's gotta be a complete edition. It's the second DLC. They will show a trailer for the second DLC. And by the way, we release a complete edition available, blah blah blah, October or something, and then it also will launch on PlayStation. Mark my words, dude. Mark my words. What about ABK? I mean, King is not gonna be there.
No. No, we'll not see Candy Crush.
We'll not see Candy
It'll
Crush.
It'll just be Call of Duty.
Yeah, Call of Duty, obviously. I mean, that's the one safe bet you can make. I also doubt that we will see something else from Blizzard. Maybe a new World of Warcraft expansion or something.
Even then, I don't know. I don't think it's been rumored that they're going to have a new one.
I'm just saying, but nothing like a new game or anything. So, what else?
I don't know.
From first party. Then let's talk about hardware. Is there going to be hardware?
I think maybe if they are, it'll be a sneak peek at what they're going to do next gen, but I don't know. Maybe it's the ROG Ally crossover thing.
That's the thing. I'm thinking we will get a little tease for the Rock Alley crossover thing, Project Keenan or what it's called. But the focus will be on Xbox PC, the new Windows gaming thing. Jess Corden, our good friend, just the other day teased that we will be hearing about this brand Xbox PC, which has been spotted a few times now in the labeling, their own advertisements, and other teasers. And he said Xbox PC is something we will hear more about in the next days. And so I'm thinking they will have a segment in there where they explain the future of Windows, Xbox gaming, the Xbox PC brand. They will introduce that, maybe a new storefront, new overlay, stripped down thing, debloated Windows kind of thing. And then at the very end, they say, oh, and this is going to be first on the Asus Rock Alley, and you will learn more about the Alley in a showcase with our good friends from Asus in July. Or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, something a little bit like that. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So, what do you expect from that Xbox PC thing? What do you think is that kind of new brand wording?
I think that's just the branding for the new Xbox UI / interface on PC / handheld.
Yeah, but what is it? Is it a stripped down version of Windows? Like this is what we all expect to be the next OS for the next console. It's more or less Windows based, but kind of stripped down to be able to compete with Steam OS. Because Windows is running too many things in the background. And now that we can install Steam OS on, bless you, Gesundheit.
Gesundheit, health.
I should have never told you that Gesundheit means health.
Health.
Yeah.
Health.
See, now that we can install Steam OS on every Windows handheld as well, we have very good comparisons in between the performance boost you get on Steam OS, because Steam OS is not running a billion different processes in the background. Windows is just super bloated, and if you run that on the Alley, a lot of the power just goes to Windows. And the Steam OS is significantly better when it comes to battery life. It is significantly better when it comes to performance with that. And they kind of have to rival that, because this is something that is actually threatening Windows. And so they kind of have to do more than just an overlay, a new overlay. I think a new overlay will be there, yes, but I think it's more than that. It is a stripped down version of Windows. Maybe not from the get-go. This is something, but on the other hand, I heard that on a different podcast. Can't remember which one it was. I'm sorry for that. But that was a very good argument. They kind of need to nail whatever that thing is. This new Windows thing that Jason Ronald teased at CES in January this year. They need to nail that from the launch. They cannot release that and have a good idea, but it's not working, and then improve it over the next years until the next console comes out, because first impressions matter. And SteamOS is good. It's out there, it's available, and it's a valid option for everyone who does not want or need native Game Pass support. There's no reason why you would game on the Windows if you would accept using Game Pass. And so they kind of need to launch that Xbox PC thing in a state where they can rival with Steam OS and the performance of Steam OS.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe it's even more refined again. It needs to be even more simplistic.
Yeah, even more simplistic. Jesse James in the chat says, I heard Microsoft is making it where you can switch from Windows to Xbox OS. I have my doubts that we will actually switch into Xbox OS. But I think it is something in that vein where you press a button and all the bullshit in the background that Windows is always running. I mean, open up your task manager right now and look how many bullshit is running in the background and the advertisements in the taskbar and everywhere. And all that stuff takes away from resources that should be there for games. And I think it will be something like that you basically push a button and a lot of stuff. Then maybe your printer doesn't work anymore and I don't know, yeah? But it will free up a lot of resources. It'll still be Windows though at its core, but I think eventually we will see some sort of either emulation or a way where that stripped down Windows can run Xbox console or Xbox OS games natively somehow, either through emulation or through something else. But I doubt that it's a push of a button and you just switch into Xbox OS. But it will feel like that. It will look like that. It will look very similar and so on. And I also think that they are reworking the Windows Store. The Windows Store isn't called Windows Store anymore because that name is burned. You can change Windows Store today into the best thing in the world, and people will still think of it as shit. And that's why they need a new name for it. And with Xbox PC, they will do that. We'll have a proper new storefront. I don't know if it's gonna be good, but it's gonna be a new thing. And it will be a stripped down version of Windows. And I think we will see that at the showcase. Because it's gonna be on the Rock Alley later this year. And that's why I think we will see that. And with that, they will announce the reveal date of that Xbox Asus handheld.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, what about third party?
Final Fantasy.
You say Final Fantasy
7 remake.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna put you down as a yes. I'm gonna say no. I don't think this is ever going to come to Xbox, and it's not gonna be there. But we talked about this earlier. I have a feeling, Dutch, since Microsoft has been in a very close partnership with Crystal Dynamics, and Perfect Dark we talked about this earlier. Perfect Dark is going to be there, and it's going to be a 26 game. The other game that Crystal is working on is Tomb Raider. And I think we will see Tomb Raider at the Xbox showcase this year. How do you feel about that?
That's a good show.
So I'm going to put you down as a yes as well here.
Yep.
Okay. Good stuff. I'm excited for a new Tomb Raider, man. I love the Tomb Raider series, especially the trilogy. The reboot trilogy was phenomenal, beautiful. the new Tomb Raider is going to also switch to Unreal Engine 5, by the way, which, I mean, Unreal is great and all, but they had a very, very good engine. Tomb Raider looked phenomenal. So I hope they can transfer that to that quality to Unreal. But I'm excited for a new Tomb Raider. I think we will see it this year. What else do you think? There are tons of games that have different.
They are, but I also
Project
feel like
Dragon. What do you think about that?
Possibly. I feel like Xbox is at a point now, though, where they have so many of their own games that third party doesn't make that much of an appearance unless it's something super big. So I don't know whether or not there's going to be an influx of third party again.
An influx sounds like this is going to be a third party showcase. I wouldn't say that, but there is going to be a good handful of third party games at the showcase. There always is. So, how are we feeling about Project Dragon?
I'm not sure. I don't know whether or not we will see it.
I'm gonna say no. Project Dragon is a no on my end. Should I put you down as a no?
Yes. No for me.
Yeah, I feel like IO has shown their stuff. What about the People Can Fly game?
I don't know if they will. Haven't they been struggling recently?
I mean, but they also have been supporting Gears.
They have, but I think that's pretty much the only thing we'll see from People Can Fly. I don't think we'll see anything else.
I agree. I don't think we will see anything from them. Any other third-party partnership you can think of?
Sega, but so we've got Sega and Square, and they've both got kind of partnership, or at least should we say agreements now to kind of work more closely together with each other. So you might see multiple Square announcements. You could see Final Fantasy VII Remake, but we haven't seen anything from Kingdom Hearts 4 for a very long time.
Kingdom Hearts 4. That's a good shout. So you think we will see that?
It's a possibility. I would put that down as a maybe.
We don't do maybes. We do yes or no's.
Okay, we'll just put yes for. Let's say that's as a random big hitter.
It's a good shout, but I don't think we will see that in the next showcase. Of course, there will be a segment of Japanese games at the showcase. Yeah. Good. Any third-party games you would like to add to the list? Then let's hear what is the opening.
Everwild.
You're going with Everwild. That is interesting. How come?
It's a game that we haven't seen for a very long time that could intrigue upon opening.
Interesting. I think Everwild would need more explanation to be an opener.
Oh no, I think they'll show a kind of tiny little thing, and then we'll get a kind of quick breakaway to whoever's talking on stage, and then they go, let's take a look at the first segment of this amazing new world from Ray. And then it'll go into a little bit more in depth. We've kind of seen that before. where they've kind of shown a quick glimpse of the game at this very start, and then they've went, and now let's have another look at this fantastic, and they go into it a little bit more, and then it breaks away, and then straight after that little trailer finishes, it then goes on to other trailers.
Interesting. My original line of thought was Gears E Day is going to open up the show. You don't need explanation. You just show Gears E Day in all its glory, gory kind of way. It would absolutely make sense. But then I don't think that they are going to open with that. It's gonna be honestly something. I'm torn in between Blade and Perfect Dark. Blade would set the super excitement for the rest of the showcase because people love Blade and that they are working on a Blade. And you just show that it looks great. It looks like, and it is what people hope from a Blade game. I could see that, and I could also see Perfect Dark in a great action because we've seen continued gameplay. They've shown like 6-7 minutes last year as continued gameplay from Perfect Dark. You could have like story mixed with action, mixed with beautiful visuals, trailer to open up the show. So I'm gonna put Perfect Dark down as an opener. What do you think is going to close the show?
Call of Duty.
Nah, that's something in the middle.
Nah. Call of Duty will end it, and then it's going to go on to Outer Worlds 2.
That would be super boring. Nah.
Yeah.
I'm with you though that it's nothing super hardly exciting because they've never done that ever since they have a direct following up.
Gears last year.
That's true. That was the last game. They closed with Gears. I have to take that back. I forgot about that. Because I remember.
But I don't think they've got any historic games that they can use as a dropper like that unless they do Halo at the end.
Oh, Halo. Are we going to see Halo?
I mean, if they're going to show it, I think it'll be an end of showcase dropper like they did with Gears AD.
I'm gonna say no. Halo is too early.
I also think it's too early, but I think if we do see it, that's the only game that would make sense at the end, or they'll just do Call of Duty.
No, I think they will close with. Man, now are they going to close with the same game twice with Gears? Because I could see, that they show at the very end the Gears Ultimate remake, and then and here's a glimpse of the future. But it would be a very similar closing like last year. So I'm gonna say Elder Scrolls 6. It's gonna close the show. All right, Dutch. All right. We've got this. Only a few more days, and then we will know more. I'm super excited, man. It's gonna be definitely a good one. I have good feeling about this showcase. Very good feeling. They're going to continue. They just have if just half of what we put down as a yes comes true, this is already going to be an awesome showcase, right? So yeah, man. we are almost 3 hours into the podcast and we still have the community questions. This week we got a couple of good ones, so that I would move over to the community questions. Unless you want to add something for the show. Case.
Nope, I think we've covered pretty much everything.
All right. Then let's talk about the community questions, man. Each and every Wednesday we put up posts on the social media channels, on X, on Blue Sky, on Twitter. And people can write in, and YouTube here, of course. And people can write in without a paywall and ask us questions or propose topics. And so did Dan Heffron this week. And he asks this: what game could be announced at any of the showcases that would make that show an 11 out of 10 just from that announcement alone? For him, it would be Bard's Tale 5. But I want to hear what you guys would.
Kingdom Hearts 4.
Kingdom Hearts 4. I know you're a massive fan. And it's a fair shout. The easy and obvious answer would be, of course, Witcher 4. But we have already seen that at State of Unreal, so I can't put that down. Honestly, I'm going with Elder Scrolls 6. I put that down as a yes, and that alone would make it an 11 out of 10, man. The Big Bridge writes in: hey, Boxy in Dutch, suppose you had to make a very cozy, family-friendly game out of an IP that is known for its action brutality or maturity. Which one would it be, and what would you call it? An Elden Ring amusement park management sim game, for instance. A tarnished thrill park. Dutch, which brutal game would you make family-friendly?
Condemned.
How? And how?
Everything's light, nothing's dark. If you bop somebody on the head, you're hitting them with cushions. You're not hitting them with poles. And nothing's scary. Everything's bright and vibrant. It's not called Condemned either. It'll be something else.
Oh man, I would make.
It'll be like a pillow fight, essentially.
I would take Gears and make it into a sim, like the Sims game. You train your muscles, you grow your tomatoes, right? We know that Marcus Felix loves to do that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, man. Stuff like that. Great question, man. Clute writes in: will we see the Halo Combat Evolved remake at the showcase? Not the next mainline Halo, but there's this rumor, that Combat Evolved gets a proper remake in Unreal Engine.
I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say a hard no, because I don't think that thing exists.
Yeah, same.
So I think this is just such a wishful thing that is an easy rumor to put out there. People don't even know where that rumor started, and it's just not a thing. I think we will see eventually the Halo Master Chief Collection make its way to PlayStation and maybe get a next-gen treatment or something like that. But it's not gonna be like a full, proper remake. Sith Lord writes in: Happy Christmas, Happy Gamer Christmas Week. Now with the Switch 2 out, what Xbox games will come to the system? Dutch, which Xbox games will come to the Switch 2?
All of them.
All of them.
All of them. All of the games.
I'm not gonna say all. I think Sea of Thieves definitely.
Indiana Jones, definitely.
Forza Horizon,
Yeah.
definitely.
Starfield, yes.
Starfield, maybe. Maybe Doom.
Yeah, 100% Doom.
I think it's more the newer releases like your Indiana Jones and Forza Horizons and Doom. I don't think they will go back and put like very old games on the Switch too. Yeah.
No, I think it's the newer ones going forward, yeah.
Yeah.
Or some of the more recent ones.
I mean, Call of Duty, they said that during the trial they want to put that on there, and I could see that this year's Call of Duty is going to be the first one on the Switch.
Yeah.
James Shadowdrop says, how much bullshit was The Witcher 4 running on PS5 with ray tracing and 60 FPS? Just kidding. It's a rhetorical statement. I mean, we cover The Witcher 4 and the tech demo pretty intensive, James. So I would just move to the final question of the day that comes from Fanto Sir. And he says, greetings, Boxy and Dutch. As you're streaming this podcast, I'll hopefully finally be playing the Switch 2 after months of anticipation. Question: what PlayStation 4 games would you like to see ported to the Switch 2? And what are your thoughts on this new iteration? Will it be another huge Nintendo success? Many thanks as always. Great show. Keep up the great work, guys. Thank you, man. So will it be another success like the Switch? It will be a success. Will it reach similar numbers than the original Switch? I kind of doubt it. It will still sell very good numbers.
Yeah.
But I doubt that it will be as successful as the original Switch. And as for the question, which games from PlayStation 4? Very particular. I don't think that many games from the PS4 generation or Xbox One generation, for that matter, will come those to the Switch 2. Those games are simply too old. There's no interest in them anymore. I will say though that a lot of games from the PS5 and Xbox Series generation will make their way. I could see Elden Ring, for instance, become available there, or I don't know, but I don't think PS4 games. What about you, man?
Yeah, I agree. PlayStation aren't renowned for putting their games on Nintendo that often. So no, I think you're right. I think it was more games like Elden Rings and things like that that'll go over to the new Switch. But I don't think specific PlayStation ones will.
Agree. All right, Dutch. Let's finish this show up. We are closing in on the 3-hour mark. It's been an absolute blast. Showcase season week is always exciting. Lots to talk about. The Xbox showcase is 3 days away, right? So we will be back on Sunday, right after the Outer Worlds 2 Direct. Live here and probably co-streaming on your channel as well. Covering everything that got announced. And we hope you guys will join us and see. I have the list now down. If our predictions were correct. I'm super excited. Dutch, before we let everyone out, definitely let everyone know what you get going on your channel for this Sunday.
Yes. So I'll just be doing a quick, and I say quick, it will be a quick live coverage of it on Sunday, I do believe. if I get the opportunity to. If I don't, then I'll be doing the post show with Boxy. But look out for that. If I do, obviously I'll just post it on the day that I'll be doing live coverage of it, and it'll just be me solo reacting live to the showcase. Again, if I don't manage to get around to doing that because I'm just too busy, so I haven't had a chance to set it up, then you can definitely see me on post show with Boxy covering off what we've just seen, and of course talking about it. But that's all I've got coming up. Other than that, I'll be resting because I'm tired from work.
I feel you, man. I feel you. All right, guys. So we hope to see you guys this Sunday. If not, we will be back, of course, next Thursday with a regular podcast covering all the aftermath, because we all know that there will be plenty of infos coming in the hours and days after the showcase about everything that got announced. So there will be a lot of interesting stuff there next Thursday. But now I'm excited for Sunday. Only 3 more days to go, guys. I hope you enjoyed the podcast today. A big thank you to everyone who made it till the end, who joined us here live today. Of course, a big shout out to our listeners on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Guys, 3 more days, and we'll be back here with a special episode covering the Xbox Showcase. I hope to see you guys on Sunday, and I have nothing more to say other than hope the time goes by quickly, because I can't wait to see the showcase. I see you guys around, and don't forget to game on.